Good morning, all. In the last class, we have learned about the force and effects of force. In this class, we shall learn about the classification of force. There are two types of forces, contact force and non contact force. Here, you can see a chart on classification of force. Let's study in detail one by one. First, we shall learn about contact forces. The force which act on a body either directly or through some connector are called contact forces. For example, muscular force and frictional force. In this picture, we can see that a boy is lifting a bucket of water. Is it possible for the boy to lift the bucket with water without holding it? No, there should be a direct contact with the boy and bucket. In this picture, we can see that a bullock cart is filled with husk. By this, we can make out that animals also make use of muscular force to carry out their physical activity and other tasks. In both these pictures, the force is caused by the action of muscles in our body. The force resulting due to the action of muscles is known as the muscular force. Since muscular force can be applied only when it is in contact with an object, it is also called a contact force. Next, we will learn about the force of friction. In this picture, we can see a ball rolling along the ground, gradually slows down and finally comes to rest. When we stop pedaling a cycle, it gradually slows down and finally comes to a stop. Similarly, a boat comes to rest if we stop rowing it. In all these situations, no force appears to be acting on the objects. Yet their speed gradually decreases and they come to rest after some time. The force responsible for changing the state of motion of objects in all these examples is the force of friction. It is the force of friction between the surface of the ball and the ground that brings the moving ball to rest. Similarly, friction between water and the boat brings it to stop once you stop rowing. A force which acts at the surface of contact when one body moves or tends to move upon another body is called the force of friction. Next, we will move to the non contact forces. The forces which do not make a direct contact with a body and act through space without any connector are called non contact forces. Examples: magnetic force, gravitational force, and electrostatic force. In this picture, we can see a magnet and iron nails. What happens when we bring iron nails near to the magnet at some point? The nail moves towards to the magnet and sticks to it. It means that some force is acting between these two objects. When we bring the magnet in contact with the iron nails, a magnet can exert a force on nail without being in contact with it. The force exerted by a magnet is an example of non-contact force. The force exerted by the magnet is called magnetic force. The property of some substances to attract magnetic materials like iron or steel towards itself is called magnetic property. The force exerted by the magnet is called magnetic force. In this picture, we can see a man sitting under a tree and seeing that apple falling down the ground when it detached from the plant. He wondered why the apple is falling down, why it is so. Can this happen without force acting on it? Which is the force? It is because the objects or things falls towards the earth because earth pulls them. This force is called the force of gravity or just gravity. This is an attractive force and an example of non-contact force. And gravity is not a property of the earth alone. In fact, every object in the universe, whether small or large, exert a force on every other object. The force is known as the gravitational force. Let us move to electrostatic force. In this picture, we can see a plastic comb and a pieces of paper. Rub the comb on your dry hair and bring the comb close to the pieces of paper. What happens? We can see a pieces of papers get attracted to the plastic comb. The reason behind this is a electric charge. Electric charge is the quantity of electricity. The plastic comb is initially electrically neutral. There is no charge in it. But when you rub this with your dry hair, it becomes electrically charged. Once it get electrical charge, it got to the ability to attract the pieces of paper. There is another example for non-contact force. The force exerted by a charged body on another charged or uncharged body is known as electrostatic force. So non-contact forces are magnetic force, electrostatic force and gravitational force. Okay students, today we have learned about classification of force such as contact force and non-contact force. That's all for the day. See you in the next class. Dear students, please note down these questions as your home assignment. Thank you.